I was born to an atheist family. I quickly picked up on Islam, even though I didn't know anything about it. But then I watched your videos and you really woke me up. There were certain issues in Islam which made me really question it. I learned about Christianity, like super peaceful religion, forgiving, merciful religion.
And you read the Old Testament and you saw all that violence.
Yeah, exactly. So I was talking to a Muslim. They said, well, is Jesus God to you? I was like, well, yes, he is. He calls himself God. And then he's like, well, why did Jesus then allow upon a certain time in Israel all of these things? And where in the New Testament does he abolish it? I'm like, well, I don't know.
So how would that justify what Muhammad did? So what is a Muslim doing?
Absolutely doesn't. That's what I try to bring up.
So
I don't want to become an atheist. That's my thing.
Oh, that's what it is. But even if you were to become an atheist, you would be an atheist inconsistently. Your choice in becoming an atheist because you can't justify these actions in the Old Testament, let's just say hypothetically, then you're being inconsistent in the sense that you're assuming that you can objectively determine something being immoral or moral, right?
Right, okay.
But how do you do that as an atheist?
You can't.
So then why would
you base yourself also?
Why then would your natural reaction be to become atheist? Because then as an atheist, you'd have no grounds to attack the Old Testament for these commands.
Right.
So why would your choice automatically, immediately be atheism? Because once you become an atheist, you can no longer say that what the Old Testament prescribed is immoral because you have no moral absolutes.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So how does that justify atheism?
I don't know, because it's like, I don't know if this will make you cringe a little bit, but I feel like I have like natural instincts. Like I know slavery is wrong.
But where would you get natural instincts from if you are simply a byproduct? Oh, now see? But then if you're appealing to God, that means you're saying that God is the standard for objective moral values, right?
Right. Yes.
So then if I were to say, for argument's sake, the way the Muslim understood those commands in the Old Testament, he didn't. But I'm just saying, argument's sake, wipe out everything that breathes. But if God is the standard of moral absolutes, how then can someone say that is morally evil, objectively evil, if it's God telling you that this is the just thing to do for these persistent sinners who don't fear him?
Well, it's for God to decide.
So then, but notice how you began this conversation saying, I want to understand these injunctions because I don't want to become an atheist. Meaning that if you cannot wrap your mind around the morality behind these commands, then you're going to be an atheist, which means that you're already assuming a standard of moral absolutes by which the Bible has to live up to. Where are you getting that from?
I don't know. Like for me, taking captives, like women as captives, slaves, for me, that's just wrong. And so,
how do you know it's wrong objectively? You just committed the same mistake.
Well, because I know that it'll impact women's, like scientifically, like you can prove that.
Why would impacting a woman and harming her be morally reprehensible?
Because you'll cause damage to her.
Why is causing damage to another creature evil?
Because they deserve to be treated like human.
Who told you they deserve to be treated like human? Who gives humanity their value?
I don't know. Like I've been taught that from a young age, but
I don't care. You've been taught that because if I go with the evolutionary scheme, right, we are simply a more evolved animal. We evolved from lower forms of life. Now, when a lion attacks its prey and devours its prey and harms that prey, do you say that's evil?
No, it's nature.
So then why would you then object that when one human animal attacks another human animal and harms that human animal, that's evil?
Okay, this is like, I don't know.
Exactly. So we went back to the problem that you're assuming a standard of moral absolutes by which to judge the Bible. If the Bible doesn't live up to it, it's immoral.
Right.
You're beginning with the assumption you have the wisdom and knowledge to define moral absolutes.
I don't have that.
Precisely. So instead of now assuming what is wrong or what is right, why not then approach the Bible and see why God ordered these quote unquote killings or slavery, and I'm putting in quotes because there are answers, but I'm trying to get you to now change your thinking, because if God is real and he's the standard of moral absolutes and he's infinitely wise because he knows what you do not know and he sees what you do not see, instead of then sitting in judgment of God, why not then take a step of faith, say, God, I'm going to trust this is your word and I'm going to try to understand the wisdom behind these injunctions. If was an infant and you didn't know that he would turn out to be a moral monster, and God ordered him to be slaughtered, you'd think that was evil, right?
Yeah, because I wouldn't know the context.
But what if God then show you, see, here's why you should never question me. Because I'm going to show you what would happen if I let him live. I started the way you did, not understanding these commands. They troubled me. But you know what I did? I said, look, God, I want to take you at your word. I know Jesus died. Jesus rose again. Jesus alive. These are historical facts you can demonstrate. The historical Jesus walked this earth, claimed to be God, did miracles. He was killed. The tomb was found empty. The body was gone. And his disciples claimed to have seen him alive in that body, see him go to heaven in that body, and were willing to die for that. So these are historical facts you can establish. So now if Jesus is real, and Jesus confirmed that he's God, and he confirmed the Old Testament's God's word, now I'm going to trust Jesus and his wisdom and his justice, and I'm going to take a step of faith to try to understand the Old Testament, and then God rewarded me.
Okay. I shouldn't be so quick to judge, because it's not. Exactly. Okay.
But let me now, when you say, well, hold on, I left Islam because it's immoral, but now you're telling me that I was judging Islam due to my own preferences. Yes, you were subjective, but I have an objective basis to condemn Islam, the Bible. I'm not condemning Islam simply because of my moral preferences or my feelings. I have a standard of moral absolutes. I have an objectively true standard of right and wrong to then determine why Islam is evil. It's called the Bible, God's revelation. You see the difference? First of all, to just prove to you that God, when he says wiped out everything that breathes,
right?
That if you read it in the context of the narrative, that was never literally the case. Now, when Pharaoh had let the people go, God did not lead them through the way of the land of the Philistines, although it was nearby. He had them take the long route. Why? For God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war and they return to Egypt. Therefore, God led the people around through the way of the wilderness to the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up, prepared for war out of the land of Egypt. So notice, this nation was young, inexperienced, and did not know warfare, right?
Okay.
So here, what you're seeing is God is slowly working through his people because they're young, inexperienced. They don't know how to govern themselves. They don't know warfare. So he's not having them engage in all-out battle, correct?
Yeah.
Exodus 23, 29, 30. Right here, black and white, about the Canaanites, Amorites. I will not drive them out before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against you. Little by little, I'll drive them out before you until you become fruitful and inherit the land. So here God tells you it's not going to be a complete onslaught, and complete annihilation.
Right.
So when we read, wipe out everything that breathes. Yeah, if I take that statement in isolation out of the context of the Bible, yeah, I can make it sound pretty bad. But if I read it as a whole, you'll see that never literally happened. I'll get there, but you see it, right? Little by little, right?
Yeah.
Deuteronomy 7, 22, 23. The Lord your God will drive out those nations before you little by little. You'll not be able to destroy them all at once. But if I read certain commandments, wipe out everything that breathes, seems like they're going to do it all at once, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Not here. You'll not be able to do that. And you're going to drive them out little by little, lest the beasts of the field become too numerous for you. But the Lord your God will deliver them to you and will throw them out into a great confusion until they are destroyed. Now, they've already entered the land. Joshua has already brought them into the land because Joshua's the one who's going to lead the land, and he's died. Now, I want to ask you a question. If they were to wipe them out completely, why is it after Joshua died, they entered the land, there are still Canaanites and Perizzites in the land?
Doesn't make sense.
You see what happens when I take the Bible out of context?
Yeah. Okay.
So this is Judges 1, and you read verses 4 all the way to 19. It's too long. I'm not going to read all of it, just here, relevant part.
Okay,
then
perfect.
Judah went up, and the Lord gave the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hands. They struck down 10,000 men in Bezek. This is military warfare. They're striking down the soldiers, the armies of the Canaanites, Perizzites. But I thought when Joshua entered, he'd wipe out all of them, every single one of them, to the last man. No, that didn't happen.
Okay, thank you so much for this. Okay,
We got more, so I just wanted to bear with me. Now watch here. Judges 1, 17 and 19. But Judah went with his brother Simeon, struck down the Canaanites living in Zaphath, and utterly destroyed the city. Doesn't mean he destroyed every single one Canaanite. So now they called the city Hormah. Then Judah captured Gaza, Ashkelon, Ekron, and the territory belonging to each of these cities. The Lord was with Judah, and they, meaning the Judahites, took the hill country, but could not drive out the inhabitants of the coastal plain, for they had iron chariots. What were people doing living in the coastal plain if Joshua had wiped them all out to the last man?
Well, he didn't then. That's the only explanation.
Thank you, sir. If I read the Bible in context, man, it doesn't say what these guys wanted to say. Okay. And if you still don't believe me, they're already in the land. They've settled in the land. Supposedly at this time, there should be no Canaanites. Oh, but hold on. Judges 2:1-5. And I want everyone else to learn how to answer these. The angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you into the land that I promised your fathers. I said, I'll never break my covenant with you, but you must not make a pact with the inhabitants of the land, and you must tear down their altars. Yet you have not obeyed me. What is this you have done? So now I say, I will not drive them out before you. There'll be thorns in your sides, and their gods will be snare to you. What in the world are the Canaanites doing still alive at this time?
Well, they're living. They're not dead.
Because what did he say? There'll be a snare to you, a thorn in your side, means they're still alive. The Canaanites are still there. They're still practicing their paganism. And then if he was going to wipe all of them out, why did he warn them, don't make a covenant with them? There would be no one left to make a covenant with. When the judge died, the people turned back, acted more wickedly than their fathers, pursuing other gods to serve and worship them. They would not give up their practices and obstinate ways. Sound about the Israelites. The anger of the Lord burned against Israel, and he said, because this nation has violated my covenant that I commanded their fathers and has not heeded my voice. Guys, pay attention. 21. I will no longer drive out from before them any of the nations that Joshua left when he died. Oh, so Joshua did not wipe out all of them?
Right. Okay. Wait, was Joshua just doing that to that specific group? Or was Joshua doing that?
That's the thing. The language of the Bible, when it says wipe out everything that breathes, is not literal.
Okay.
What we would call this is, for lack of a better term, war propaganda. Okay. Here, let me give you an example of modern usage. Man, let's say Mike Tyson. Okay. Even though I'm not, I'm better looking. Dude, I destroyed my enemy. I annihilated and wiped them out. Did I literally destroy and annihilate, wipe them out?
No.
And would you be that dumb to assume that I literally wiped out, destroyed my opponent in the ring?
No.
If so, then how is it that the next day he's back in the gym training?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. You've changed my life.